5/8. The good news is this is the exact same factoring pattern we did in 5/7. And the only difference is that now we're going to see C. We're going to see C. We are going to see that the number that will go in place of this variable C, that number will be negative. So we will end up with a minus. The pattern we did in 5/7, this was always positive. So let me just show you an example. X squared minus x minus 20. So there my C value is negative 20. So that's the only difference here. Everything else is the same. This is a trinomial. And we are going to factor it, which means we are going to be looking for the two binomials that could have been multiplied to get this trinomial. Again, I like to call it reverse FOIL. If you can imagine what we would do with FOIL and then take it backwards a step. So again, just as a reminder, get my pencil here. Daniel, would you do me a favor and shut our door? That when we do the first two in FOIL, that is what gives us this x squared. Okay, so what are my options? How did I get x squared, Izzy? X times x, it's the only way, right? And when we do last from these two positions, that gives us our C value, or this third and final piece of the trinomial. Now notice it's negative, I circled the negative with it. I need to figure out what did I multiply to get negative 20, and so again we think of our factors of 20. 1 and 20, 2 and 10, or 4 and 5. You don't have to list them like this every time, but I would suggest doing it. It doesn't take very long, and then that way you won't accidentally forget about a pair of factors, hopefully. Now remember, we're going to use those to do the outer and the inner as well, and that the outer and the inner will combine to give me this middle term, right? Because they always combine. Now, what is my B value? What is being multiplied by x? Daniel?
What is being multiplied by x?
Yep.
B.
Well, B is the variable we use to say the number that's being multiplied by x. So it's not actually going to be the letter B, it's going to be a number. I'll give you a hint, this number, we don't show it, which is why you're having trouble, because you don't see it there, Leanna.
-1.
Yeah, this is our invisible 1, and of course with the negative, a negative 1. Now I know you guys are like, well, what number? There's no number. There is, it's the one we don't show, right? It's the 1. Otherwise, the next example I'll put a number there so you can see it. But I wanted to point that out because when we do our outer and our inner, we need to get them to combine to make a negative 1. So now I look back at my factors, which one of these could I combine to maybe make a negative 1? Diego?
4 and 5.
The 4 and the 5, let's try that. If I do 4 and 5, now again, you could have done 5 and 4, you should get the same overall answer. When I do outer in FOIL, I get 5x. When I do inner, I get 4x. Now we need to really pay attention to the signs. What signs should I put on 5 and 4 if I want them to combine to make negative 1? Jerome?
1 negative and positive.
Okay, good. One's going to be negative, one's going to be positive. Which one is going to be which? Think about, we want it to end up negative. We keep the sign of the bigger digit. Which one's going to be negative, Jim?
5.
The 5, and the 4 becomes positive. Good. Negative 5 and positive 4 would combine to make negative 1. So here's the hint. Which one gets which? When we combine with different signs, we keep the sign of the bigger digit, the bigger one gets the sign that you want to end up with. Now let's just double check. If I have a positive with the 4, that means I have a plus in this one by the 4. The negative with the 5, so I need my 5 to be negative. Let's double check. Let's FOIL it. X times x, x squared. Negative 5x, positive 4x, yep, that makes negative 1. And finally, last, positive times negative makes a negative. All of these, you're going to have 1 plus and 1 minus to get a negative C term.
Miss Little,
Yes?
do you have 8th grade?
Yes.
Can you let Daniel know he's to get lunch at cafeteria today?
Which Daniel?
Danny Novice.
Okay,
Thank you.
and now that's in the podcast. Okay, let's do one more. X squared plus 29a minus 30. I'll do a couple more just to make sure everybody's catching it. Again, x squared, the only way, x times x. And by the way, tomorrow we're going to kick it up a notch and have a number here too to make it a little bit harder. Yay! All right, my factors of 30. To get that 30 at the end from my L in last. 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. Which one do you want to try if we want to make a positive 29? Rebecca? Yep. I think this is the first time we've used the one and itself factors. When I do outer, I get 30x. When I do inner, I get 1x. What are my signs going to be to combine to make a positive 29? Jaden?
The one is negative and the third is positive.
Okay, good. Again, the one that is bigger is the one that gets the sign we keep. Positive 30, so I put the plus with the 30. Negative 1x. I double check. Negative times positive makes a negative. Everything else works out. So again, same thing as yesterday, or as Thursday I should say, just a slightly different change with the signs. Let me give you another one. Let's throw in a couple extra variables, just as practice. A squared plus 3ab minus 18b squared. Again, the a squared at the beginning is probably the easy part. The only way to get a squared is a times a. Now in the last positions, I know I'm going to need to get a b squared, and for that I know it's going to be b times b. Now I just need to figure out my factors of 18. I've got 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. If I need to get a total of 3, Izzy, what do you suggest?
3.
Okay, good. 3 and 6. My outer, a times 6b. Well, let's put it in order. 6ab, number first, alphabetical order with the letters. 3ba, let's do it again. 3ab, alphabetical. And now let's figure out our signs. I need the 3 and the 6 to combine to make a positive 3. What signs can I use? Vincent? Okay, negative 3ab and positive 6ab would combine to make a positive 3. If I put my signs in place in the parentheses, I double check my last. Negative times positive makes a negative, and we're good. Now I'm just going to show you one that's prime, and then I'll let you get started on your homework. X squared minus 9x minus 8. Just to show you to be careful of some of this. So we start, and of course you wouldn't know it was prime if it was your homework problem. I'll tell you how many are prime, of course, just not which ones. So I know it's going to be x and x to get x squared. I look at my 8 and I start thinking of factors of 8, and I know 1 and 8, 2 and 4 are my only choices. And you look at it and you go, oh, 1 and 8, that would make 9. Let's try it. 1 and 8. X times 8. 8x, 1 times x, 1x. Now if I want to make a negative 9x, what signs would I need on these? Daniel?
1 negative and 1 positive.
Not to make a negative 9.
Oh, to make a positive 9?
No,
Wait.
to make a negative, it says negative 9.
Oh, I'm confused. But,
Diego?
Wait, to make a negative 9?
Uh-huh.
Oh!
I've already written it.
Oh.
Make them both negative. Guys, all you have to do is think about, if they were just numbers, right? Negative 1 minus 8, when you add the opposite, that makes negative 9x. But here's the problem. Why is this considered prime? That looks like it works. Negative 1x and negative 8x makes negative 9x. Kate? When you do last, and you always have to check this, last negative times negative makes a positive. But I had a negative 8, but that makes a positive 8. It doesn't work. Does not work. Prime. So just be careful. It looks like it works because I can make a negative 9, but if I make a negative 9, I can't also make a negative 8. Okay, so just double check your last, check that L in foil to make sure you've got it correct. The homework. Now, there's not a lot of work to show. Whatever work you need to show in order to get to the right answer, please show that work. If you want to do the little loops like I do, if you want to list the factors, show whatever work you need to get to the right answer.